utility accruals, depreciation schedules, amortized expenses. No, these aren't just the suggested topics at an accountant's only speed dating mixer. These are also the reasons that accounting's hottest new app has changed my life. Presenting Accruer by FinOptimal. We accountants now have the power to post years, months, and fortnights worth of accrual entries in just seconds. The time savings alone on receiving perfectly crafted reconciliations to all my prepaid expense accounts and depreciation schedules is enough to make me name my next child Accruer. Luckily, I'm done having kids. If you want to join the party, head on over to finoptimal.com to see Accruer in action. They offer a 60-day money-back guarantee, and they don't even require a demo. Use the code Unaccountable to get 50% off your first 2 months and to prove to Tom at FinOptimal that more than my mom listens to this podcast. Now back to the show. Welcome to Unaccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for product news, updates, and education. I am your creator, curator of a host, Tyler Otto, and I'm joined by the influencer admirer, Jeremy Van Grohl, looking sharp today.
Ooh, thank you. Fresh cut if you're checking us out on YouTube. Yeah.
I can see my reflection in that dome. It's wonderful.
It's not as wonderful as you think. Anyway, let's move on. How are things, man? This is dropping the days, like a day or two before I get to see you in person. We're going scaling.
Yeah, Scaling New Heights is coming up, man, and it's like a reunion of all the friends. You know, you download the Woodard app, and it's like all the people requesting to connect, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's like 40 people we're friends with that are going to be there, plus all the software developers that we know and love. We'll be there.
Think of all the people that have made bad decisions with their life that we know them and connect with them. This is fantastic.
I know. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. If y'all haven't gotten your tickets, good luck, because this is dropping, 2 or 3 days before you need to fly out. But Hopefully you can find a way to get there. Jeremy said you could bunk up in his room. He's got a twin mattress and a broom closet, but he said more the merrier. So love to see you there.
Only if I can be the little spoon. Hey, let's hit something quick. We got amazing guest today. A little foreshadowing in the names. Anyway, let's go. A couple like cool things that came out there. So you and I both at least came from or adjacent from the Bookkeeper Launch community. And a couple big announcements out there. One, the second one that came out, but our friend and guest on the show, Jaime, has now taken the reins and bought the Bookkeeper Launch program. So first of all, congrats, Jaime. That's fantastic. And I think 100% kudos to Ben Robinson, who I consider a father-brother figure that helped me get out of my shell and do the amazing things that I did. But handing that over into new reins that I'm sure will make it amazing going into much far into the future at this point.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this one because there's a lot of people that we know that have come from that program. And, Ben grew it into an amazing, massive empire, but he had certain directions he wanted to go. And Ben had several businesses that worked together. And I think you're going to tee something up here in a second. But now that Jaime has just one direction to go with this, like he's building this one product, I'm really intrigued to see what he does with it now because it's a standalone and no longer in an ecosystem. So it should be kind of cool to see.
Yeah. And if you haven't taken it or have friends that you think want to get into bookkeeping or an accounting firm, bookkeepers.com/courses, they're running 50% off on all the things right now. So check it out. Great deal. Worth every penny, if not more, of the full price. So, yeah. Another piece of the Bookkeeper Launch family was their Keepful program, which is really kind of CRM, email management, things like that. Another amazing guest we had, Heidi, she was on the program with us. She has purchased that program and is taking it on its own as well. So, our guests taking over the world.
Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing we should take away from this is that people become successful after they come on this show. So hopefully that helps our guest today because I think he could probably use the leg up.
Right. And that being said,
Jeremy, after 50 episodes, it seems like the amount of people that are willing to lower their standards and come hang out with us, it's just jaw-dropping. Apparently word hasn't got out what this is going to do to their careers, even slightly associating themselves with us. But
This might be one of the most amazing people to ever grace us with their presence. Probably one of the most influential accountants on the internet. One of the smartest people out there. He has walked the walk, talked the talk. Now he just produces shenanigans with information and insights all day long. He is the man, the myth, the legend. Jason Staats, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Heck of an intro. Wow.
I know. Now you got to live up to
deliver
it.
the goods now.
For anyone that doesn't know Jason Staats and is hiding under a rock and YouTube's algorithm hasn't been working correctly, briefly, your background from running a firm to what you're doing now, what should people know about the man?
Yeah, my background is I last ran a 40-person firm in Oregon a couple of years ago. At the tail end of that, I started producing YouTube videos and running a community called Realize. All that stuff turned into a business, weirdly enough, like making content and stupid jokes and usually helpful things online. And so last 2 years, I've been doing that full time. And this year I'll keynote, I think, 32 conferences around the world. We've got like the most watched AI education content for accounting firms globally. Just a lot of really, really exciting stuff. All the stuff that I wanted to see when I was running a firm that didn't exist.
That's amazing. Well, Jason, we are incredibly excited to just break down whatever insights we can get from you. And maybe even Jeremy and I can take a nugget away from this and learn how to actually produce quality content. But we're going to run you through our game of fast figures. We're going to put a minute on the clock and see how you answer on 10 questions. You ready to get into this?
I'm so ready. 4. Oh no, that was too early.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
Minute on the clock. Here we go. Jason Staats, when calculating the stat or statistic of labor margin percentage, what is the only number that cannot be the denominator?
0.
When asked, what is it good for? What value did the band The Temptations assign to war as a numerical value?
0.
When it comes to traditional storytelling, how many elements are there to the plot of a story?
3.
In the revolutionary game Rocket League, where video gamers play an altered version of soccer with their cars and a massive soccer ball, how many cars are on the field in a standard game?
6.
Leap year occurs exactly every how many years?
4.
In the sitcom The Office, what fictional number does accountant Kevin use to balance his accounts in the face of errors?
11.
How many rounds are there in the NFL draft each year where teams pick their new players?
Ooh. 12 or 15. Maybe 15 now.
Of the 3 levels of systems and organizations controls, or SOC, established by the AICPA, which level of those 3 deals with controls related to security, confidentiality, and privacy of data?
I was bored like 4 words into that question. I don't know. 6?
3 levels. We're going to give you a note. There's only 1, 2, or 3.
Okay. 2.
In basketball, a player with the ball can take how many steps without dribbling before they are required to keep their pivot foot in one place?
1.
And the former NBC and Yahoo Stream sitcom Community developed the tagline of what they defined as success for the show, touting blank seasons and a movie. How many seasons?
6.
Well done, sir. Does the stress hit you when you get put on the clock and the timer just goes?
It did until the first 2 questions. And then I started feeling a little more confident.
Perfect. I love it. My favorite comment so far was Deanna Relay called it, she felt like she just got cyberbullied. And I think that might be the best experience way to go.
There's like a town square element too, where like you're being documented. Everyone can see it.
Right.
Well, let's dive right into it and see how you did. First off, we just wanted to welcome you into the game. A nice, easy one. When calculating the stat or statistic of labor margin percentage, what's the only number that can't be 0? You correctly said 0. And that's it. Or it can't be the denominator. It's 0. Easy peasy. Now let's jump into some actual accounting merit, though. When asked, what is it good for? What was the value that the band The Temptations assigned to war as a numerical value? You correctly again said 0. And I wanted to correlate this question because we see many influencers ask a similar question of what is the value of a CPA license? And assuming a firm isn't going to do audit, where, what is the priority of the firm? Where should getting their CPA lie as a priority? Or should they focus on something else or other credentials as they're trying to start up their firm? Really, what is it good for?
So we're just getting canceled on the second question, huh?
We haven't gotten canceled yet. I don't think this is going to be the one that tips the scale.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a CPA, but it's not the top thing on my list. I think it ultimately comes down to if you're inside of a firm, in my opinion, it has very little influence on how productive you'll be in the firm, and oftentimes is a distraction and gets in the way of you actually finding the thing that you love. If you run a firm and you're trying to attract clients, it can be a way to put you ahead of a lot of folks who don't have a CPA license. But how many CPAs are there globally now?
60,000.
I'm going to go ahead and give Jeremy and me the wrong answer. No idea.
There's a lot. So at the end of the day, like what everybody's trying to do is be like, how do I be perceived as one of one? Getting a CPA ultimately isn't going to have you be perceived as one of one.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me personally, I was sitting 2 classes short of my CPA being able to sit for it last year. I went back and did the classes, still haven't actually sat for it because I've got too much work on my hands. But at the same point, I know I could probably charge higher rates. Do you feel like firm owners need to then focus on that early or just get money in the door?
I think most firm owners, if they're still starting out, don't even know if they want to run a firm or don't know if they enjoy tax work or something else. And so you're going to sink a whole bunch of time and effort and money into getting your CPA license. In my opinion, if the client's looking at your credentials, you already lost the battle.
Ooh,
it's fair. I like that.
I love that. Next question.
Before we move on, I gotta feel like you schooled me on the music reference, and I feel bad about this because you had this in the question. I'm like, that wasn't the Temptations, that was Edwin Starr, and you corrected me. Go ahead.
Back behind the scenes, Jeremy and I fact checked each other. Yeah, Edwin Starr made it popular, but the Temptations wrote it in '69. But because of how controversial it was, they never actually released a single. So Edwin gets all the credit.
Take that into your CPA firm. Like, take your ideas and get them out there so Edwin Starr doesn't come from the back end and steal them from you.
I really hope Earmark uses that as the question for the hour of CPE everyone's getting. This would be good.
Me too.
Next question, Jason. When it comes to traditional storytelling, how many elements are there in the plot to a story? You said 3. The correct answer is 5. The exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. I would have not known that. But I bring this up because a lot of what you do seems to be storytelling. There's so many accountants out there that have their own platform. Some have amazing knowledge, but they approach us with all the excitement of Ben Stein and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Bueller.
And then other people, they're very exciting, but they lack substantial knowledge. You seem to have found that right balance between insightful and entertainment. And I'm curious, what's your blueprint to not just make it feel like you're giving us a classroom lecture, but you're telling us a story?
I mean, there isn't like a universal place to draw that line that appeals to everybody. If you could see my YouTube comments, you would see that. To be honest, it's definitely a reflection of like me and my personality and what I think is funny. And that kind of has to be your North Star. There's no way to fake like what you think will resonate with everyone. So at the end of the day, it's probably just the things that I think are silly and funny. But I don't know if there's a blueprint. To me, the blueprint is repetition. It's like the old, 5-year overnight success sort of thing. Yeah. Everybody looks at my videos now and they're like, wow, you're such a natural. And I'm like, back when I was running a 40-person firm, publishing 2 YouTube videos a week, I did that for 18 months and had 500 subscribers at the end of it. And any reasonable person would have stopped long before 18 months. And the person that says I'm a natural now wasn't watching back then. So like a lot of it is just, I've put in more time. I've spent more money. Like I've just put in more effort than I think anybody else has. So hopefully they're good videos. Unfortunately, it's a very unsexy answer, but like repetition and also finding something that you enjoy doing that doesn't feel like work to you. Like that's the ultimate hack to adulting is I enjoyed this stuff, I think, more than most folks do because it was a silly little creative outlet. So I could do it more and not burn out as quickly as other folks would. And that's probably my advantage.
But I don't think there's any concern there of it not being a sexy answer. I mean, Jason, people look at Jeremy and I. They don't tune into this podcast for sex appeal. Let's be honest. So, I mean, that's what makes the difference is knowing, okay, how do you do the unsexy stuff that, as you said, in 5 years, all of a sudden makes you look like that overnight success. Too many people miss the work that goes in behind the scenes.
And that's why, like, rather than running out to get a big credential, like experience and getting to taste different things is a big deal. When you think about marketing and social media platforms and all that now, like there's a way to market what you do that's for everyone. Like if you enjoy conversation, do an interview podcast. If you enjoy writing, like do LinkedIn. If you enjoy making stupid videos, do YouTube. Like your competitive advantage is the stuff that you're into. But so often folks are told to like run away from that and keep that stuff outside of work. It's like, that's the only advantage you really have.
And you've set the bar high for us fellow shenaniganers that enjoy your content and want to make similarly humorous accounting content.
We'll work on the humor.
Yeah.
Next question. And dare I say, Jason, this might have been the question that you were most confident in. But in the revolutionary game Rocket League, where you play soccer with cars, how many cars are on the field at one time? You swiftly and accurately said 6. And there's a rumor that, well, first let me say, Jeremy and I both acknowledge we're only as good as our teams, as the people that we have found come in, buy into our culture, and be part of our community. Rumor has it that Rocket League played a part in the development of your influencer empire. Is this true?
It's funny. I grew up playing games like I think most folks in my generation did. And my wife and I got married 11 years ago. And like a year after that, I just got like consumed by this game. And it was a combination of different things. It was like this sort of, it has a very heavy teamwork element that was really satisfying, where like if you got some buddies and you could do it well, like there was just something really satisfying about it. I was at the lowest of low points in my work where I'm like, there's no world where I'm going to be happy doing this. And so I have a very obsessive personality and I needed something to be obsessed with. And you better believe I was obsessed with it. I was super into it. I was on a top 10 North American team. I was like at a really, really high level. I didn't do that. At that level, I wasn't going that hard for very long. But my GM now, Jake Kesnick, who runs as much of the business as I can possibly get him to run, we met in my community and had known each other for maybe 6 to 9 months. And I caught wind that he played Rocket League as well. And that was just such a weirdly specific thing to also find somebody that was into. So yeah, we played some Rocket League. But yeah, no, that was like a period of my life. I don't know. I think there's something about like my impression of achieving people has always been like, they cannot go through a period of their life without something that just completely consumes them. And I can definitely say like every period of my life, like right after college, it was racing rally cars. Like I did that for 3 or 4 years and that was just everything that I thought about. So I don't know. I'm just obsessive that way.
Oh, brilliant. Because I mean, finding people in any way, shape or form that you know you can connect with and work with. I mean, I love it. I don't know. I think it's cool that that's how you found your business manager at this point, or connected at least.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. We asked you, leap year occurs exactly every how many years? And you, in a very elongated fashion, said 4, which, there we go, if I'm on the buttons. And while accountants can take solace every few years in getting that extra day of doing tax returns, you've become a strong advocate for simplifying tax season by scheduling out your clients and not needing that extra day. You know, if you could give us the cliff notes of like what you're proposing firm owners should do to really make that season more manageable, it sounds brilliant. And I know like you have 4 1-hour podcasts going about this, so we're condensing a lot, but I think they should go listen to that.
Every tax firm goes through the same progression. You start out, you don't have that much work, and very quickly find yourself kind of up to your eyeballs, but in a very seasonal way. And so you're like, okay, I got to figure out how to shift more work out of busy season. And then the next year you come around and you're like, all right, we're going to set a deadline so that folks don't just think we can magic up their tax return by April 15th, no matter what. So you set that at like say April 1. And the next year, you're like, last year was pretty sweaty. We're actually going to pull that forward to like 320, 315, 310. Happens every single year. And what happens is all of the people who brought you their stuff on 4/1 to make that deadline the first time you set it, well, next year when you set the deadline at 320, those same people bring you their stuff on 320. So like until you have control over the inflow of when that stuff comes in, you really can't promise when it goes out the door. I know someone who had like 130 tax returns or something like that come in on that deadline day. That's not taking control of the workflow. A growing number of firms are just scheduling work throughout the entire year. So everybody has an intake window, everybody has a delivery window, and you can plan that out in a very, very calm way. I have a CPA that does my taxes now because I don't run a tax firm anymore. They don't work any overtime, like all year round, and they run an insanely profitable accounting firm. So it's choice. Like there's a path out of that. I think the hardest thing for most people is it's not that like, oh, that's not a good idea or something like that. It's that they don't know how to get from A to B, and they are afraid about disappointing the clients who they sacrificed and pumped in those 80-hour weeks for. Like they're afraid of letting those people down and more of them sliding and getting filed later in the year. But it's also like, I don't know, you kind of got to keep perspective of all this stuff. Like stop putting the cape on for all the people at work when it's usually the people at home that actually want to spend time with you. So yeah, that's like I think one of the biggest trends in running small tax firms right now.
I mean, we could just end this episode here because that's what everyone needs to hear. Stop putting the cape on. The people at home need it. Done. End of the show. See you guys later. No, that's brilliant. And I think something that honestly, I'm going to look at how I can fix that next year because every year I think I'm going to fix it. And I don't.
Or might I suggest just don't do taxes?
Nonprofit son of a gun. Get out of here. All right. Next question. In the sitcom The Office, what fictional number does the accountant Kevin use to balance his accounts in the face of accounting errors? So close you said Slevin, which I think there was a movie, Lucky Number Slevin, but it's Clevin.
Okay.
It's his magic number. He used to use it to balance his accounts. He used to call it a Clevin. He told Dwight, a mistake plus Clevin gets you home by 7. He was home by 4:45 that day.
All right. No accounting merit. On to the next one. Jason, how many rounds are there in the NFL draft each year where teams pick their new players? You said 15. The correct answer is 7. And as any sports fan knows, it's in 7 rounds.
Wow.
Yeah. Samsonite.
Maybe I'm thinking baseball where there's a whole bunch.
Probably. Yeah. But any sport fan knows that any team that wants to be successful needs to do their research on all the possible players out there, know exactly how it's going to fit into what they're planning to do and what their needs are. And most firm owners are struck with that same decision early on, trying to figure out their tech stack. And they don't have time to do all the research on every single product and knowing how they're going to fit together and how it's going to satisfy their needs. Dare I tee it up? But how can they go about getting that information to know what should they implement in their firm?
That's very kind. It's something that I've built, basically a database of the apps I recommend and the apps that I don't and why. I think it took me too many years to realize that most of the educational content in our space is developed by non-accountants who have marketing budgets. It is the software companies that are still pumping out 80% of the education and training into our space. And a lot of it's really, really good. And there's very sharp people, but it's also inherently like through a lens. So that's kind of one of the hats that I try to wear is kind of extreme transparency in what I do and how I work with brands. Like I don't do affiliate revenue. I don't do anything like that. I'll post, for example, like a flowchart kind of decision tree of what practice management system your firm should use based on various factors. And, the reality is posting a database of 130 apps for accounting firms and only recommending like 18 of them is really, really bad for my business. Like it is when you rely on sponsorship, it's piss off a lot of people, but that was exactly what I needed. And there's so much tech out there where it's like, how do you even know where to start? And so I don't know, at the end of the day, I work for accountants, not for software companies.
How often, how long do you think you invest in researching one tech option? Just guess. It's got to be a ton of time.
Not so much. So what it is more is rather than like going super, super deep on a tool and understanding every little submenu and all that stuff, what it actually is like I talk with, it's just a stupid number of accounting firms, like on the order of thousands the last couple of years. And they all tell me what's working and like what's the best part of their stack and what's the worst part of their stack. And you try to tease out from that some nuance about their firm. Do they do tax work? Do they do bookkeeping work? Like how big of a firm are they? What's leading them to come to that conclusion? And the ultimate proof for whether or not this is going to work for you is does it work for other firms that look like you and kind of share some of those commonalities? So the recommendations are really just a product of what I think my competitive advantages is. I think I've talked with more accounting firm owners than like anyone the last few years, both through my private community, but also because like just the volume of content we've done in the last 2 years. And like every single time, this is kind of the thing that I think a lot of folks miss about content is every time you put content out into the world, like you're soliciting conversation and people sharing their experience. Because, your experience is always going to be one of one. It's just kind of inherently limited. You have blinders to what you've experienced. And when you're out there consistently sharing your story, you're the beneficiary of everyone else sharing their story or their different perspective or how the same thing is framed a different way through their lens. And it looks like you're giving stuff away, but like at the end of the day, you're the beneficiary of this. Like your worldview is developing and you end up with this really powerful framework to make decisions based on what a whole bunch of other people have done. Like the slowest way to learn and to develop your firm and all that stuff is to do it kind of in a vacuum where you don't learn from anybody else, right? So that's like my favorite part about my job is I just get to kind of be the sponge that collects all that stuff.
It's brilliant. I mean, for anyone who hasn't seen this database, jasononfirms.com/apps, go there, give him your email, and he shoots you the link right away. And it's brilliant. I mean, you're going through tax prep software, ledger software, practice management, tax workflow, engagements. I even love your toppings, just people that don't fit into a specific category, but you absolutely love them. Because this is what I wish I would have had 3 years ago when I was trying to figure out, like, I wasn't going to use a tax-specific software. I was going to use ClickUp, and I was going to use, like all these different things. And like, I wish I would have had this to look at starting out.
It's hard, man. I put my 40-person firm on the wrong practice management system because I trusted what a salesperson told me. And the vast majority of us still make our buying decisions based on what the sales rep tells us.
Yeah.
Which obviously that's problematic, right? But that's what we do.
The salesperson that doesn't understand the difference between a debit and a credit, but they can promise you the world.
Yeah. And their paycheck is just based on closing the deal.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. So following up on this spreadsheet, I don't want to leave it yet because next question that bored you to death, which is the 3 levels of SOC compliance or security system and organization controls. What level concerns itself with... Yeah, security.
I didn't connect this. Okay, yeah.
Now you know where I'm going. You're smelling
It's a good question, yeah.
Thank you. Which level deals with security, confidentiality, and privacy data? You correctly found your way to 2, which SOC 2 compliant, which you bring up in your research here. I'm looking at your practice management tools, and you're making sure that people are type 1, type 2, SOC 2 compliant. While we don't need to get in the specifics of what that all means, as a firm owner, what is our responsibility to actually even like verify? Why should we even care about this? Isn't this just someone else's job? Like none of our concern? What's our obligation here?
When you asked that question, I heard socks like Sarbanes-Oxley, and I almost left. I was right over the leave.
Oh no, where did Jason go?
I think about it this way. Running an accounting firm, it's almost hard to not find success running an accounting firm. Not to say it isn't very hard, but like we are so fortunate. But the only thing to me that represents this like overnight existential threat to your business is probably a security breach. Like there's practically nothing else like that. And there's 100 different ways that can happen from phishing to all sorts of different scenarios. But as unsexy and unfun as it is, like, yeah, we have to like do our due diligence and stay on top of that stuff. that is kind of the function of that certification. Is it means something, and it's a proxy for a bar. It's not the ultimate bar. And even within that SOC 2, like type 2 certification, there's actually a bunch of different within that certifications. And most people only do one, but there's like a number of different sort of like categories within that. It's very hard because it's such an ambiguous thing and we don't even know the questions to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a signal that they're investing in the right things. You combine that with multi-factor authentication, which, as much as we all despise it, most breaches happen from someone getting your credentials, not from the app itself leaking information. Phishing attacks, like usually that's them taking you to a fake login page and then they have your login credentials. But if you got two-factor authentication, that goes away. So even just like beyond a sort of what duty do I have to protect my clients? And obviously there's like increasingly more and more rules, with the WISPs and stuff like that of what we have to do. But even if you just look at it through the business lens, like it's kind of the only like total existential threat of something that could happen overnight is a breach.
Yeah. And that's why I love that you bring it up on this spreadsheet, because for me, I could go spend the time trying to hunt this down, but you've already done the work for us of like, okay, they've at least shown they've done the requirements that at least someone as dumb as Tyler Otto can understand they've got a certification. Like, it's awesome. Thank you for doing this. 2 more questions, Jason. In basketball, a player with the ball can take how many steps without dribbling before they have to keep their pivot foot in one place? You said 1. The answer is 2 steps. But you famously bought into a firm at $3 million, grew it to $5 million before deciding that you needed to pivot and exit the firm life to do something else. What ultimately led to that decision of, having a successful firm, but realizing like something else was out there for you? Because I know most accountants, that would be terrifying.
I'm still hung up on the question. And I think that there needs to be some sort of like protest process to this. 2 steps is a travel, so I'm still not clear on how the right answer it couldn't just be 1. But I'll be honest, I couldn't even hear through my rage when I found out I got that wrong. What was the last part of the question again?
I was trying to be cleverly tying it into your pivot from being a successful firm owner of $5 million to the decision to leave the firm life and try something new, like coaching and mentoring accountants. And ultimately, what was the thought process behind that decision? That, I mean, dare I say, hindsight's 2020, that was a great decision for you, but who knew that this was going to work out? Like, what led to that pivot?
I think this is a good lesson for every accountant, is if you're thinking about doing something that doesn't work out, you're still an accountant and you're still tremendously in demand. So let's just level set on that, on how privileged we are in every way, where it's like, well, what if I go out and I start a firm and it doesn't work out? And it's like, oh, I don't know. You just go back to like a red hot hiring market and probably take a signing bonus and make really great money, probably more than you were making before when you left that other firm, right?
Yeah.
So there is an element of that. That being said, the bigger thing for me was at that point in the firm, I had a whole bunch of people that had come to that firm just to work for me. Like I was hiring people off of Twitter. Like they were the super fans of the super fans who were totally bought into my vision of running an accounting firm. And then I was going to leave. Mm-hmm. It was 2 things. 1, having kids, just changing your brain chemistry. 2 was I could see something that was vastly more impactful than running a firm. So in the firm, team of 40, I think we made a great place to work. We saw people come into the team and in 2 or 3 years' time be in a totally different place in their career. And that was incredibly rewarding. And I was really happy about that. That was the most satisfying aspect of running a firm to me, was just creating a great place to work that like turned people into these superheroes. But on the flip side of that, at the time, I could also publish a video that 1,000 Jasons, 1,000 other firm owners could watch and create a better place to work for all those people. That was ultimately what took me to something else. Was there's just inherent limitations in a service business of the scale of impact that you can have. And producing content it's just not subject to a lot of those limitations. So it can help people at a much broader scale. And I mean, I think I'm probably maybe not as risk averse as some accountants. I think of it as, we get really worried about like investing so much in a thing and like dumping it or something like that. But I think of it more through the lens of everything you've done thus far has kind of prepared you for what's next, which could be something completely different. And if we have tunnel vision for just staying in that same lane until the end of time, I don't know. I just don't feel like you get to experience as much of the world and explore even more of yourself and what you're interested in if you're just kind of locked into that same groove for your whole career.
You had a post, I think it was like a month ago, where you talked about separating from your firm, and it was insightful and also like killed me inside at the same time about just questioning that nobody else could do, like the fact that you would question nobody else can do what I can do. Right.
Yeah.
And I think my whole team thinks that about me. And I think that about me too. Like, I've built this amazing thing. Like, my culture is second to none as well. I feel very, very confident about that. But the fact that you could question that and then just like tore all of that down in that post. And I'm just like, this is so smart, but I'm dying inside. Thanks for that.
We do that with our clients too, where it's like, well, if I fire this client, they're never going to have it as good as me. When it's like, you've been more to that client for like the last 5 years and they have to like beg to get your attention. Like, if you're not excited about them, there's probably somebody out there better for them.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I love it, because honestly, the best decisions that have come in my life is when I was forced to make a change. And so the courage to actually make the change yourself, like my firm, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. It's only because the pandemic killed the hotel industry and I had to either find a new job or start a firm. You know, someone like you that just took that initiative and went for it, it's brilliant. And yeah, can't echo that enough. Last question, and I am so proud you got this one right. Ian, cue up the audio clip for me, but the former NBC and Yahoo Stream sitcom Community developed the tagline of what they defined as success with 6 seasons and a movie. While they got to the 6 seasons, the movie has yet to happen.
Show's gonna last 3 weeks. 6 seasons and a movie.
But, I mean, obviously that show is fantastic, but you also have your own community that is cool. And I would love to take a little time to just understand more about Realize and what you're building over there. Dare I even say, Jeremy, we just call this halftime and get right into it. So you thought you were pretty clever skipping past the ad at the beginning of the episode, didn't you? Didn't you? Well, joke's on you, because FinOptimal is back with Accruer and has this ad spot too. That's how serious we are about getting you to try out accounting's most revolutionary and one-of-a-kind product. Their tool, Accruer, is such a game changer. Some influencer named Jason Staats, yeah, ever heard of him? Jason listed it as one of the 6 apps that every accounting firm should be using. If you're a serious accountant or bookkeeper that wants to save hours of time and add years back to your life that stress would have taken from reconciliations and prepaid schedules, then head on over to finoptimal.com and use the code Unaccountable to get 50% off 2 months, and you get a 60-day money-back guarantee. All right, that's the last of FinOptimal. Or is it? So, Jason, you have successfully passed fast figures, 7 out of 10. Tell us about Realize. Like, what are you guys building over there?
So Realize is basically just a space to connect you with other like-minded accounting firm owners. I think the most impactful thing I experienced in my firm running journey was not sitting through one more webinar or a slide deck or something like that. It was meeting other firm owners where I'm like, oh, dang, like I've got a lot to learn from you. And you know, the reality is like running a firm is extremely isolating. Like I would come home from work at the end of the day and my wife's like, you're doing great. Like you're the best. Like everybody around me is supportive. And I'm like, do you really, I mean, you don't really know though. Like I might be awful at this. And they can have the best of intentions, but it's not until you sit in a room of other people to do what you do that you're like, okay, this squad gets me. And you grow so fast. Like you just like, it is absolutely the greatest accelerant you could possibly have for you personally, but also for your firm. And my philosophy is I'm not real into paywalling anything educational. So like we've got a team of 7 people. Like we'll spend like into the 7 figures this year producing educational content for accounting firms that's completely free. And I think that's just like, if you look at other industries, those are the people that are winning right now. It's just people that are being useful at scale. So everything that I know, every way that I can help you, like we're pumping that out into the world as much as we possibly can. The one thing that we have that folks pay for is to be in this community. And so this community is a collection of the folks that my content sort of most connects with. And so then when you come into this space and it is paywalled, so like there's stakes and people have to put an effort to get something out, but that means that everybody else around you is also putting an effort. We've all been in like those kind of cheap nothing communities where it's just kind of dead and it's like somebody will say something mean and just leave. It's like, no, there's accountability here. Like you come in and we're going to introduce you to some rad people you would have never met, and you'll have like real relationships, which is like the ultimate thing, I think, for anyone's growth. And I think is the most valuable way that I can use my platform. So, you know, of all the people worldwide who are consuming my stuff, what's the greatest gift that I can give them? It's like to make your first friend that runs an accounting firm. So that I'm super passionate about. Obviously, there's about 600 firms there. It's actually one of the world's largest accounting alliances now. If you compare it to, you know, your BDO alliances and stuff like that, like it's right up there. I'm super proud of that because it, like, if I go back to my firm running journey, man, did I need that? Like that would have shaved years off of going to the wrong practice management system and not knowing how to navigate price increases and all that stuff. So that's kind of my baby, because I think what we all need is not one more like stage talk. It's probably just having a few more connections that do what we do that can help us get to the next level.
I can't agree enough. I mean, honestly, my journey picked up when I went to a conference, thought, these are all my competitors in the room. I'm going to crush every one of them. And then I left with Jeremy's phone number and a couple other people. Next thing you know, we're all planning a trip to Florida Keys as firm owners. And I mean, we still have a group video chat. Jeremy, like, is there 15, 20 minutes of video in there every day? Just us, like these are the people I need to talk to. And it's Jeremy and a couple of other friends. And it's like, my wife will even say it. You know, your wife says you're doing a good job. My wife's like, do you just need to go talk to Jeremy? Because you need someone else that gets it, right? You know, Jeremy, what? You're at 20 something employees. I'm at 15, 16. And you don't know that stress until you get there. So Jason, I mean, this community, it's brilliant. If they feel isolated, which it is isolating, absolutely check out Realize.
Yeah, I think most people today that run firms don't know anybody else that runs firms. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that wild? Like, I cannot imagine doing that.
Me neither. And I've said that to my team many times, is like 10% of where we've gotten today is my good ideas. The 90% is the things that I've worked through or stolen from people in our community. Right. So like, it's just so overwhelmingly supportive and positive and, you know, just ground shifting.
Jason Staats, you know, final last call, open mic night. Jeremy will drop a beat if you want to freestyle, but anything else that people should know about what you've got out there, where they should find you, just freestyle it for us.
I'm pretty hard to avoid if you're on social media at all. But given the format we're at here, I've got a podcast too, Jason on Firms, that about 1,500 firm owners listen to every day. It is like deep in the weeds. Like, it's not like the sort of surface level content you get from your software vendors. It's like way inside baseball of kind of the day-to-day of running firms. And we're like 460 episodes into that. Plenty to listen to. Bless the people who do. But yeah, there's plenty there.
Should we change this question then? That if people want to get away from you,
yeah,
what is your suggestion on how they avoid Jason Staats?
Dude, I tell people, in fact, I try to push firm owners, like, how do you just be unavoidable? Like, for a specific type of person, like, how can they just not avoid it? And like right now, I'm so many places where it's like me or not, you're going to see me. And that, like, that's kind of the goal, is just that saturation. But no, there is no way to avoid me, especially in an era of AI. Like, this isn't even me. This is an AI avatar. So I'm I'm coming to a conference near you, to any sort of digital screen. Like there's no getting away from it.
Can I one more question on that? You posted that you're on like a bus tour, which I'm sure is tongue in cheek, but like, are these all conferences or just places you're going to connect with people? I saw Chicago on the list. I'm tempted. That's close. What are you doing here?
It's a mix of a bunch of things. So like the Chicago one's a one-day AI conference. Some of it is other companies' roadshows. Some of it is our own like first-party events that we're hosting. My biggest KPI for the business right now is how many people can we get out to come to an event in person? Because social media stuff's cool. Yeah. And it's a great way to learn, but like the greatest transformation happens in being with people. So now I'm trying to take all of the folks that are into that stuff and actually get them connected in person.
That's awesome.
Well, we will see you at Scaling New Heights here soon. Looking forward to that. Everyone, go follow Jason if you aren't already. I mean, you probably have 3 or 4 things are subscribed, but go find the other 6 and subscribe to all 10. Get a punch card. You get a free frozen yogurt the next time you see him. All those great things. Jason Staats, thank you so much for joining us, sir. And it's good to know that we've peaked this early in our podcast journey. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
How am I supposed to follow up Jason Staats, man?
You can't.
I can't. Oh, God. All right. I threw together a quick game because, again, we're going to, whatever Jason wants, right? We're going to give him as much time as he wants, but we want to make sure we fill up his time and put some more accounting stuff out there. So we do some research. I know it's surprising on this program. But he come across some things, stats or other fun facts where they just don't fit in a game program. So I just kind of threw those in a sidebar. So I'm just some random accounting questions to throw at you in, as Jeopardy would say, the potpourri category. So let's just run through this. Just some quick ones, man. All right. Okay. Number 1, all multiple choice for you as well.
I like this already.
Yeah. First one, what percentage of small businesses do their own bookkeeping? Is it 45, 55, or 65% of small businesses?
I'm going to go 55.
According to this, and I think, again, we all know that surveys can be subjective based on their audience and all that stuff, but it says 65, right? And maybe I shouldn't trust this because the top 2 statistics of this study were 65% of business owners do their own bookkeeping, 30% of small business owners have an accountant. And I was like, are the other 5 just not doing anything? And then I thought about it. They're probably just not doing anything, right? Like 5% of people just are not taking care of any of their business and should be.
But then how did they get to the number of 65? Because then you've got or 60, because then people are affirmatively saying, I do my own bookkeeping. I assume they just got to that number to say, do you have an accountant? No, you're doing it yourself then. The reason I'm betting that number is high is because they probably count every Uber driver. Anyone that gets a 1099 and is self-employed is probably a business. You're right.
It totally depends.
I see it.
But there's 5% missing. But then I think about it when I get people we've never done anything. Can you help us? Feel like, I really don't want to do that. So that population exists.
All right. 5% is immaterial.
Yeah, right. We'll write that off. It's fine. All right. Number 2, what ancient civilization used pebbles to track accounting transactions, leading to the word calculus? A, the Greeks, B, the Romans, or C, the Mesopotamians?
The Greeks?
Ooh.
I'm going to go O for whatever on this.
It was the Romans. And yes, calculus actually means little stone.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you ever take calculus?
7:30 a.m. in college when I was living alone for the first time and went way too late every night. So I struggled.
Oh, yeah. Calculus to me was let me put you in a math class that'll teach you everything you know about math is wrong. And God, it was awful. Ugh.
That's why we're in accounting, because we learned all the math we need to know by 5th grade.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 3. Which of these celebrities was an accountant before becoming famous? Bruce Springsteen, Bob Newhart, Michael Douglas.
Springsteen?
No, not Springsteen. It was actually Bob Newhart.
Okay.
Do you like some Bob Newhart?
I do love Bob Newhart. He's the one that did the marital counseling skits, and he would just say, okay, I'm going to help you fix this.
I'm going to say 2 words to you right now. I want you to listen to them very, very carefully. Then I want you to take them out of the office with you and incorporate them into your life. Stop it!
Yeah, I did. Did you ever watch the Newhart Show, or did that have a laugh track so you couldn't get into that? Or was that before the laugh track?
You know me so well.
I do.
Wow. I did not watch the Newhart Show.
Oh, yeah, that's a little before
I'm
my
almost
time.
touched.
Yeah, but he was actually on The Big Bang Theory, too, as a professor, and helped, like, show how a potato could have electricity through it. It was awesome. And it was, like, right before he passed. So.
Potato clock. Do potato clock.
What's that?
I power a clock with a potato.
Shut up! You can do that?
All right, 0 for 3. Let's keep this rolling.
Yeah.
In 2016, a group of accountants in the UK broke the world record for A, the largest spreadsheet, B, the largest gathering of people dressed as accountants, or C, the longest tax return.
I'm going to say it's A or C. I'm going to go with A just because I want it to be that.
That would be B, largest gathering of people dressed as accountants. Yeah.
Wait. You and I.
Look at me, man.
Yeah. What does it mean to be dressed as an accountant?
So it said, showed up in suits, calculators on hand as accountants. I don't know.
Jeremy, look at you and me and our friends that are accountants. Dressing up as an accountant is a buttoned-up shirt, flannel pants, and flip-flops. Like, yeah, that's what accountants do these days. Or maybe no pants. Like, you know, it gets hot out sometimes.
I was just walking around the other day mid-change and was like, oh, I got to get to work. And my wife's like, are you going to put pants on? I'm like, I'm on Zoom, baby. Nobody's going to see that. I say this. I've talked about this before, but if you don't watch Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, hilarious. Like, that guy is just amazing. But recently they put out a promotion where they said any minor league baseball team, they would rebrand them. And you know how minor league baseball teams will do a rebrand for a weekend and have a new mascot and do all the things. He said, as long as you do whatever we tell you to, we will pay for this. We will develop a new mascot for it, all of this. And he put this out there, and he got, I think, 47 or 40% of all the minor league teams came in and answered him. But he said, I got this one response that said, they compared my face, and if you can see this clip, do it. I can't do it live here, but they compared his face to a part of the male anatomy that is wrinkly, and then said, the Hollywood makeup isn't working, accountant boy. And he had to go on this whole rant about, like, I can't get away from the accountant boy because we had to make a spreadsheet with all 47 of these responses so that we could rank this. And they ended up picking a team out of Washington State, I think. But hilarious. That stigma still exists on the boring accountant look. Ugh.
I love that we had such a profound guest, and we're going right back down to the bottom of the barrel where we live. Thank you, Jeremy, for not letting us get too far from our roots.
Yeah, we got to stick with, as Jason said, you need to stick with what resonates with you. This is what resonates with me. All right, number 5. Let's slowly exit here. Which of the following animals was actually named as a chief officer of a company? There's 4 options this time. No, let's make it 3. Oh. You need a win here.
I do need a win.
A parrot that was named Debit, a cat named Whiskers McLedger, or a dog named Max, the CFO, Chief Fetching Officer.
I'm going to go with Max, just because I like dogs.
Oh, not
the parrot?
It was the cat named Whiskers McLedger. So a small tech startup once listed their cat as their chief accounting officer in a press release just to see if anybody would read the small print and footnotes. And supposedly nobody ever called it out or said anything about it. So,
wow.
Oh, that was an offer, man. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I honestly feel okay with it. I'm okay with it. Lack of accounting merit. Is that it? Is the beating over?
The beating's over. Let's roll. Well, our winner of the week is even more enjoyable now. I'm going to call us the winners of the week because I feel like you need an ego boost. But we had the 50th episode. We had Joe Woodard. We have now had Jason Staats on. I think we
can't take it back.
We can't take it back. We have it recorded. It's saved. We may have peaked. We could be at the echelon here. I don't know. But yeah. Good thing.
Nope. Sell this podcast for all the tens of dollars it's worth and cash in now.
Nice.
And for our loser of the week, Dare I throw this one out there? But, there's plenty going on about the one big beautiful bill. But there's an interesting line item in there that honestly, might be concerning. As part of this, the PCAOB, or the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, is looking to get axed under this bill. Now, I don't want to get political on either side. I want to talk about just what this means for an accountant.
Yeah.
And this is the group that was put in place after the WorldCom and Enron stuff, their whole scandals and the shady accounting practices that left a lot of people, dare I say, in the lurch or in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Right now, it is looking like this might disappear. I mean, this is a really important for us to watch because if the Accounting Oversight Board disappears, do audits keep happening? Do firms lose out on revenue because who needs audits? Is it cut down? And then also, as far as investments, we do a lot of tax planning with clients. Okay, where you put your money is going to be a lot more important because if we're getting rid of the things that prevented another Enron, right, is there a concern of another Enron? So very interesting article. Keep your eye on. I mean, go Google it. There's plenty of articles. I'm looking at one from the Wall Street Journal. And of course, as much as we say it, I was ready to talk about this today. And then all of a sudden on LinkedIn, I see Blake Oliver has already interviewed people with the PCAOB to learn about it. So he's got even more details out there, but definitely one to bring up. So isn't Tyler fun by bringing up a fun subject at the end of a shenanigan podcast?
Someday we may have cool connections like that. Maybe.
Yeah. Again, Jason said it's 5 years. For us, though, because we post only every other week, that's 10 years. So we're on our 10-year plan.
Perfect.
Well, Jeremy, that is a long episode for the week. Thank you for all the people that are listening, tuning in for stats, and we will see you at Scaling New Heights. This episode of Unaccountable was brought to you by Uncle Kenny's Keyboard Cleaners, the only keyboard cleaner. Psych! It's Optimal. And they're back. They're wondering, why haven't you gone to their website yet and signed up for a free trial? Did you miss the part about automating your fixed assets depreciation, or reconciling your unearned revenue for you, or posting all your prepaid expenses for the rest of the year with a backup schedule? All right. At this point, you have no excuse. Head on over to finoptimal.com, sign up for Accruer, and use the code unaccountable to get 50% off for 2 months with a 60-day money-back guarantee. You're out of excuses. Now, what are you still doing here? Go home. It's over. Let's be honest, most of us didn't become bookkeepers or accountants to spend hours learning marketing systems and chasing leads. Heck, some of us became accountants because we didn't want to talk to people. We did it also to serve clients and build businesses we love. But what if you could get better clients without the marketing overwhelm? Well, that's exactly what Keepful does. It's an all-in-one marketing system built specifically for bookkeepers and accountants. And it works 24/7 behind the scenes to bring in leads, book consultations, and automate follow-ups. You get a professional website, branded consultation page, and follow-up automations all tailored to your business. No more duct taping tools together or hiring expensive marketing teams. If you want to grow your firm with ease and attract better clients without doing more work, go check out Keepful today at keepful.com or follow the link in the show notes to give us a little bit of extra credit with the folks over at Keepful. Now, back to the show.